Alrighty, guys, welcome in. Today we are going to be going over some of the darkest theories of the Antichrist that there are on the internet. This is what's known as the Antichrist iceberg. Okay, this is going to be absolutely nuts. You have to watch this video and you have to get an understanding of what everybody is describing as the Antichrist. We're going to be going over different levels of the iceberg. So there's going to be level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. And we're going to be discussing exactly what people believe is the Antichrist. Guys, this is going to be absolutely nuts. Okay. So we got a welcome in from Gina. How you doing, Gina? Judah, how you doing? Peace and blessings to you guys. Stephen Champer, hello. So for those who don't know, an iceberg is essentially kind of like the tip of the iceberg. So we're going to go from the very tip all the way down to the very bottom in discussing some of the Antichrist theories. This is going to be really, really fun. Judah said, interesting. Grab a snack and a drink, y'all. We got a hello from Australia. So without further ado, let's get into it, okay? So level 1, when it comes to level 1, we're going to be looking at 1 John and 2 John, okay? Because this is essentially where the first mention of the Antichrist comes from. Okay, so the term Antichrist in 1 John and 2 John, right? Let's see here, appears explicitly in the New Testament, only in the Johannine epistles. This is only in the epistles of John. These passages refer to those who deny that Jesus is the Christ or that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh. The author of these letters uses Antichrist in the plural, indicating that he's addressing a contemporary problem of false teachers within the Christian community. This is where first the Antichrist is originally mentioned. So these verses laid the foundation for future interpretations of the Antichrist as a specific individual or force opposing Jesus Christ. That's why it's on level 1. It establishes a doctrinal basis for identifying those who reject fundamental Christian beliefs understanding these texts is essential for grasping the historical context of the Antichrist concept. So there is some controversy when it comes to this verse. Okay, there is some controversy. The interpretation of these verses vary greatly. Some see these antichrists as specific historical figures, while others interpret them as representing a general spirit of opposition to Christ. There is a debate on whether these passages support a literal, singular antichrist figure coming in the future. So that's level one. This is common knowledge. For those who don't know, this is common knowledge going down the iceberg as we continue to go down for the Antichrist. Okay. Number two, popular cultural depictions known as the Omen in 1976. So this is actually my first time reading or hearing about this. So I've never heard of this before. So I think this is going to be really interesting. It says right here, the 1976 film The Omen popularized the idea of the Antichrist as a child named Damien Thorn, born of a jackal and destined to bring about the end times. The film depicts Damien as possessing supernatural powers and causing death and destruction around him, aligning with common apocalyptic fears. So the significance, apparently, because this came out in the 1976, this was an old film, which so maybe you can ask your great-grandfather or your great-grandparents about this film. I've never heard of it. I was born in 1998. The Omen had a lasting impact on popular culture, shaping the modern understanding of the Antichrist. It helped solidify the idea of the Antichrist as a tangible evil entity with supernatural abilities and influenced numerous subsequent films. Interesting. Somebody put down in the chat if you've seen this before. Mr. Freeland said he will be a false Jewish Messiah. I'll be taking questions at the end. But that is essentially the Omen in 1976. So we're still in the common knowledge section. Okay. How Lindsey's The Late Great Planet Earth. This is going to be number 3. How Lindsey's The Late Great Planet Earth, published in 1970. So we're still going to be in the 1970s, the 1960s. I've actually read portions of this book. I got this as an audiobook, and it's literally one of the craziest books I've ever read. I recommend you read it. However, he has a lot of false views on the Antichrist that he's probably going to be publishing as we continue. Okay. Hal Lindsey, The Late Great Planet Earth, popularized a dispensationalist interpretation of biblical prophecy, connecting current events to end-time prophecies and identifying the potential candidates for the Antichrist. The book's success influenced a generation of evangelical Christians, shaping their understanding of eschatology. It sold millions of copies and shaped end-time beliefs for many. So what is the significance of this book? Okay. The significance of this book is that Lindsey's book contributed significantly to the rise of Christian eschatology as a popular topic and tied it directly to current events, making it seem more relevant and immediate. It fueled speculation about the identity of the Antichrist and the timing of the apocalypse. Somebody comment down below if you have seen or read The Late Great Planet Earth by Hal Lindsey. Very famous book. The controversy is that scholars have criticized Lindsey's interpretation of biblical prophecy as being overtly literal and selective, often fitting current events into predetermined interpretations. He believes in the Roman end-time Antichrist theory, which we reject on this channel. The book's predictions have often failed to materialize, leading to skepticism about its inaccuracy. So let me know, guys, down in the chat, is 1 John, The Omen, and Hal Lindsey's Late Great Planet Earth, is that level 1? Because if that's just level 1, we have a long ways to go. So that's level 1 of the Antichrist iceberg as we continue down this journey, right? Gina says, Hal Lindsey aligned with Charles Darby, who was not a Christian. He was a spiritualist. Interesting. Very, very creepy. Very, very creepy stuff. Now we're going to continue as we go down to level 2. Level 2 is where we get to Nero as a possible Antichrist figure. This one is very popular. I'm surprised this one didn't make it to level 1 because this is really common knowledge. So Nero, as a popular Antichrist figure, is level 2. Some historical interpretations of the Antichrist focus on Nero, the Roman emperor who persecuted Christians in the 1st century. Nero's brutal reign and alleged role in the Great Fire of Rome led some early Christians to view him as a prototype of the Antichrist. The Sibylline Oracles, a collection of apocalyptic texts, mention Nero's return from the dead. Interesting. So apparently there's a source that describes Nero coming back from the dead. The significance of this. Nero's identification as possible Antichrist highlights the historical context of early Christian apocalyptic thought, reflecting their struggles under Roman rule. It illustrates how historical figures can be interpreted through the lens of biblical prophecy, and it offers a possible explanation of the mark of the beast as gematria for Nero's name. For those who don't know, Nero in the gematria is equals or equates to 666. So many people have said that Nero is the Antichrist for this very reason, right? Very, very interesting stuff. Let me know down in the chat if you've heard this theory. Controversy. Whether Nero truly fits the biblical description of the Antichrist is debated. Critics point to the lack of direct biblical references to Nero and the potential for misinterpreting historical events. The Nero Antichrist theory relies heavily on interpretation of non-canonical text, and that's why we don't believe in it. That's why this is still in level 2, because Nero is essentially all of the sources that describe him as the Antichrist is in non-canonical texts, and we can't rely on those when it comes to the Antichrist. Okay, so that's level 2. What's up, Sydney? How you doing? Welcome to the chat. That badge looks good on you. All right. So, for those who don't know, we are on level 2 of our Iceberg challenge or Iceberg theory. We're going over some of the darkest theories of the Antichrist. We are currently on level 2, okay? The Islamic Dajjal. Now, I'm surprised this one didn't make it further down the list. Like, I'm surprised that didn't make it down to level 4 because level 4 has the Montauk Project, the Book of Daisen. Level 5 has the Black Sun. I'm surprised the Dajjal didn't make it further. But nonetheless, let's get into it. In Islamic eschatology, the Dajjal is a figure similar to the Antichrist. The Dajjal is a false prophet who will appear before the day of judgment, deceiving people and leading them astray. Islamic texts describe the Dajjal as possessing miraculous powers and claiming divinity, but he will ultimately be defeated by Jesus, the Islamic version of Jesus. So what's the significance of this? The Dajjal provides a parallel concept to the Antichrist in another major world religion, Islam, highlighting common themes of deception, false prophecy, and the struggle between good and evil. It demonstrates how different religious traditions address similar eschatological concerns. The story of the Dajjal also highlights the importance of believing in God's message and not falling for false promises. Okay, so the Dajjal being in level 2, right, is really interesting to me because I would have found that to have been a lot closer to the bottom of the iceberg, just because a lot of people don't really understand. A lot of Muslims don't understand who the Dajjal is. A lot of Christians don't understand who the Dajjal is. But he's basically Islam's version of the false Messiah. He's the false Messiah for Islam, and he's coming back. He's wounded in his right eye, and he is literally described as the false charlatan Messiah. So literally what's interesting is that Christ, when he was beaten and he was thrown down, right, by the ruling rulers of the day, the Romans, he was struck in the eye. It literally says in the sources, he was struck in the eye. And so his eye was protruding, right? And so the Dajjal, it says his eye is going to look like a grape, a protruding grape coming out of his eye. So I wonder if that's just another connection to the Jesus Christ of our time. They're trying to say that the Dajjal is actually the crucified, risen Jesus who, when he returns, will be a false Messiah, which is completely incorrect. So let me know down in the chat if you would have thought that was going to be further down. All right. So as we continue, Let's move to the third on level 2, which is the two witnesses in Revelation. The book of Revelation mentions two witnesses who will prophesy in Jerusalem during the tribulation period, possessing supernatural powers and facing opposition from the beast. Some interpret these witnesses as representing the law and the prophets, while others believe that they will be literal individuals, possibly Enoch and Elijah. Their testimony is crucial to the events during the end times, leading to conversions and judgments. So the significance of this is that the two witnesses play a key role in the narrative of Revelation, serving as a counterforce to the Antichrist and a symbol of God's enduring presence. Their ministry highlights the importance of witnessing and standing firm in faith, even in the face of persecution. Some interpretations see them as representing the Jewish people, eventual recognition of Jesus. Okay, so the two witnesses is very interesting. Guys, the two witnesses are really interesting because people have different views on who they are. Some believe that the two witnesses are literally representing two forms of the law and the prophets. Like they're kind of more ethereal in that sense. Whereas others believe that the two witnesses are literal individuals, which is what I believe. I believe the two witnesses are two literal individuals. It says in the book of Revelation that the beast that comes out of the bottomless pit will wage war against these two individuals, right? He will wage war against them. They will be slain, and their dead bodies will be sitting in the holy place for 3 days. Okay? Don't tell me that's symbolic. Don't tell me that's symbolic for law and prophets. Somebody let me know down in the chat if you're seeing what I'm saying. Their dead bodies are literally going to lie there. So what I believe is that the two witnesses are essentially going to be either Enoch and Moses, or it's going to be Moses and Elijah. Okay, I kind of am on the fence on any one of these. And the reason I'm on the fence is because there's good reasons to believe in both. All right, this is level 2. So remember, we're still on level 2 of our iceberg. All right, the lesser known. So the reason why I believe it could be Enoch and Moses is because Enoch, for one, Enoch and Elijah. Sorry, Enoch and Elijah. My bad. So Enoch never died, and Elijah never died. So those two never died, right? So it's very possible that God, it says that every man is appointed to die once. And so it's very possible that God is going to bring back Elijah and Enoch together. And also, Enoch was pre-flood. Elijah was post-flood. So those are good reasons to believe in those two. However, Moses and Elijah represent the law and the prophets. And Moses and Elijah were in the transfiguration when Jesus was transfigured on the mountain. So that's what I'm saying is like it's up in the air. But that's level 2 of our iceberg challenge. Okay. Let's get down to level 3. We're starting to get even deeper. So we are moving into level 3. We're starting to get really dark into the iceberg. Okay. It's getting nice and dark out. We're starting to get into where, we can't really see the surface anymore. Back to level 3. Level 3, Aleister Crowley as the Great Beast, 666. So Aleister Crowley, the influential occultist, proclaimed himself the Great Beast, 666, drawing a connection to the number associated with the Antichrist in Revelation. Crowley developed his own mystical system, Thelema, which some critics viewed as anti-Christian and promoting a new aeon. The significance of this is that Crowley's self-identification with the beast number highlights the deliberate embrace of anti-Christian symbolism in some occult traditions. It illustrates the complex relationship between occultism and traditional religious concepts, his influence on modern occultism and popular culture. So, of course, Crowler's association with the Antichrist is highly controversial, with some viewing him as a dangerous figure and others as a misunderstood mystic. His work is subject to diverse interpretations, ranging from insightful spiritual teachings to harmful occult practices. Guys, this guy was evil, okay? Aleister Crowley was one of the most evil people I've ever researched, okay? This guy was the father of much of the modern occult that goes on. So we're not even gonna give him any more attention than he deserves. But it's lesser known that this man proclaimed himself to be the great beast 666. Of course, we know it's not true. We know it's not true because the Antichrist has certain things happen when he comes onto the scene, right? Could not have been Aleister Crowley. Now, the false prophet as a papal figure. Some interpretations of Revelation identify the false prophet working with the Antichrist as the papacy, citing the historical power and influence of the Roman Catholic Church. This interpretation often arises from Protestant eschatological traditions. The identification is usually based on the idea that the Catholic Church has led many away from the true teachings of the Bible. The interpretation reflects historical tensions between Protestant and Catholic traditions, particularly concerning papal authority and doctrine. It underscores the importance of differing theological perspectives in understanding biblical prophecy. Okay? So we've heard for many years that the false prophet is going to be the papacy, the beast, right? And a lot of people, what they do is they go to Luther and they go to all of these other Protestant reformers who viewed the Catholic Church as the beast, and they try to shoehorn that in. Okay? But the reality is the false prophet is not going to deny the Trinity. He is going to deny the Trinity. The Catholic Church does not deny the Trinity. So that's why we know for a fact that it's not going to be the false prophet, right? Let me note down. Nathan says, I could see Catholicism having a hand in the end time religion. Amen. Sydney says, I don't see a bigger false prophet than Muhammad. Seriously, he has sent billions to hell. Amen to that. Definitely not the Pope. I believe Satan, the great counterfeiter, is going to bring up an Antichrist figure. So it will be the same age or close to the same age that Jesus was when he died, in my opinion. Yep. So let's continue down this role. So level 3, the hidden truth, the collective Antichrist. Some less literal interpretations of the Antichrist suggest it represents a collective force or spirit of anti-Christianity that manifests throughout history instead of a single person. The Antichrist embodies systemic opposition to Christ's teachings and values present within societal structures. This one's correct because 1 John describes the Antichrist as being a spirit, as being, there are many Antichrists that have gone out into the world. And so when this is saying that the Antichrist is a collective, that is essentially what is the truth. So that should have been all the way up on level 1. That should have been up on level 1. Okay. Now, we are on level 3 of the iceberg. I want to know how we doing. So I'm going to put you guys up on the chat right here. I'm going to put you guys up on the chat. Show on stream. Do we have any questions as we continue down this path? Didn't the Catholics have a hand in what we call our Bible? Yes, they did. So the Catholics, that's essentially the Bible was put together under the Council of Nicaea in 383. Okay. The Council of Nicaea came together and ratified what the original text of the scripture will be. And it wasn't, they just kind of came out of nowhere. They were bringing together all the letters that were at the time, and they were essentially voting on which ones were most reliable. And we know each and every one that they chose is the most reliable because we have historical sources for it. So that is essentially, what it is. Okay, so let's get back to it. Okay. I want to make sure that we're staying on the iceberg. The Assyrian connection. This is level 4. So level 4 finally has the Assyrian for the Antichrist. Okay. The Assyrian connection. Some interpretations connect the Antichrist to Assyria, drawing on biblical prophecies that mention Assyria as a source of judgment and destruction. This connection is rooted in the historical role of the Assyrian Empire as a brutal and oppressive force. The interpretation is also based on a few verses about Assyria in the Bible. Okay, the connection between the Antichrist and Assyria is based on selective interpretations of biblical prophecy and relies on symbolic readings of historical events. Critics argue that it lacks direct scriptural support and can lead to unfounded speculation. Historical accuracy of some connections are under scrutiny. So for those who don't know, this channel, we believe in the Assyrian Antichrist. That's what we believe in. And it's the only explanation that makes sense. Okay, so it's crazy they have it on level 4, but I believe that should have been all the way down on level 5 because most people don't believe in it. Okay, but let's continue down level 4. So the Book of Dizon. This is my first time hearing about the Book of Dizon. The Book of Dizon is a set of ancient texts referenced by Helena Blavatsky in The Secret Doctrine, which details the evolution of the cosmos and humanity. Some esoterics connected to the lost knowledge revel into understanding the origin of evil and forces opposing spiritual progress. Blavatsky claimed the text was received through telepathy from the Mahatmas. This is weird. Yeah, we're going to skip this one. I don't even know what that one's talking about. And they're doing the Montauk project. Man, honestly, some of these are... I don't want to teach some of these because a lot of people are going to believe them. So I think we're just going to stop at the Assyrian connection. Yeah, I don't want to teach any of these. So you know what? What we'll do is we'll just go into questions and answers. So we've gone 26 minutes. We'll just go into questions and answers. This person says, just curious, where did the 666 live stream from yesterday go? I ended up deleting it, guys, because I wasn't proud of the work that I put in. I felt like it was really scatterbrained. So I'm going to put out another work on 666, and it's going to be an actual video. So I'm in production of a video right now. It's going to be on the dark secrets of the Kaaba. So she says, I know I tried to go back and watch some and they were gone. Yep. She said that they received those visions through some kind of metaphysical mental telepathy. It's kind of simple, just weird new age. Yeah, it's kind of the new age stuff. I don't want to go into that. Definitely not the new age stuff. So let's see. Do you guys have any questions before we end the stream? Any questions? Also, we are essentially doing the Book of Enoch study. I'm going to do the Book of Enoch study after this. Okay, it's going to be a private study on my Patreon. So I post free videos for you guys, but we need to start getting this channel to where it can support itself. So that's why we're going to be doing an Enoch study on my Patreon. So go ahead and check that out. Become a Patreon member today, and you can join that study. Let's see what type of questions you guys have. Gina says the Kaaba. Yep. Will you be reviewing levels 5 to 10, the tip of the iceberg? No, I'm not going to go any further because I don't want to teach any of this false. We're gonna stop at the Assyrian. But let me know if you want me to do a full video. I can do like a fully produced video on this, on the iceberg challenge, so that it can be a lot more produced. But let me know what type of produced content you guys want to see from this channel. I'm going to stick around for one more question. Let me know if you guys have... Gina says, you do such a thorough job. I can't even think of a question. That's funny. The Nicene Council was not about putting canon together. That's false info passed down. Bishop Eusebius at the time tells us Constantine had called for a vote between Alexandria and Arius' teaching. Yeah, there was some pre stuff that was going on, and thanks for bringing that up. But the Council of Nicaea was essentially kind of the last nail in the peg for it. All right, guys, so that's about it. Oh, it looks like Scott's late. Alexander says, brother, on the topic of the Assyrian Antichrist, why couldn't the Antichrist be a Muslim or of Assyrian bloodline? He can. So there's no reason to say that he won't be a Muslim or he won't be from the religion of Islam. I believe that. However, he primarily has to be of Assyrian descent. Right? Have I ever heard of the Black Pope? I have heard of the Black Pope and could do a video on it. So anyway, I'm gonna end the stream. I'm gonna start working on. We're gonna do the Book of Enoch study over on my Patreon. So go ahead and become a Patreon member today. And I'm also going to be working. I'm also going to put a sneak peek of what I'm working on. I'm also working on a book as well too, The Mystery of Lawlessness. So I might even post some aspects of it onto Patreon. So go ahead and check that out. CWAG says, I love your teaching, keeps us thinking. Thank you, Scott, for going to read.